All too often, we think when we are experiencing fear, this is a sign that we should stop. This investor, though, is going to tell us how she experienced the fear when she left her full-time corporate job to pursue her real estate dreams and knew the fear was the indication to just keep going. Taming our feelings and doing the things that we know we are supposed to do is what allows us to achieve success. On this week's episode of the Aid to Assets podcast, I cannot wait for you to hear how this mindset coach had to coach herself into her real estate dreams. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Aid to Assets podcast, the ultimate podcast for aspiring real estate investors. I'm your host, Tiffany Watson. Join me as we discuss real estate investing for 9-to-5ers. We'll talk about everything from money mindsets and property ownership and different strategies you can use to invest in real estate. I want to empower investors, especially those of us who are working full-time, who want to navigate the world of real estate, uncover the secrets to building wealth, generate passive income to achieve financial freedom. Equip yourself with resources from experts, practical tips, and step-by-step guides on how to kickstart your real estate journey. We'll also hear from 9-to-5ers who started to build their own portfolios, what they did and how they did it, so you can do it too. Tune in and transform your main job into your biggest silent investor in your real estate investment business. This is your Aid to Assets. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Aid to Assets podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Watson, where here I get to interview current and former 9-to-5ers who've made the jump into real estate investing so you can do it too. And I am so excited about my guest today because she is going to help us make sure our mindset is right while we are making these pivots in our career and in our life. JL, how you doing today?
I am doing well, Tiffany. Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor to be a guest, and I consider it a blessing. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad I'm so grateful to have you here. I can't wait for all the gems that you are going to share with us today. So thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you.
Perfect. So before we get into all the good stuff, we like to start with receipts here so people know why they need to hit that like and subscribe button. Go ahead and y'all do that. So tell us a little bit about your real estate portfolio. How long have you been in real estate? What does your portfolio look like? All that fun stuff.
Absolutely. So, hi, everyone. As she mentioned, I am JL, and I am the proprietor of Her Sisu and Her Sisu Properties. And I have been in real estate investing for the past year and a half. And so I am fresh in it. And the one component I can tell you about receipts is Nike has the best slogan, just do it. And so for me, it was one of those things where the seed was planted and I marinated on it for about a year, loosely marinated. I didn't do any research. I didn't look into anything. It was more of a, wow, it must be nice that someone fell into a pot of money. They were left money from whoever died, or there was a trust. I didn't get that life. And so, oh, well, I'll tuck it in for next lifetime. And then there was a period of time, I want to say it was late 2022, where I said, no, I'm going to research this. And so 2023, I jumped straight in and I did 5 properties in 2023, in addition to assisting my significant other with finding his first rental property. It's a duplex. And so we went through the renovation process for both sides. And I am assisting him with managing that property as well, and others with their property. So it has been a journey that has required faith and action.
Y'all. So first things first, before we even get into the good stuff, I need y'all in the comments, put 1.5 years. 1.5 years. And my good sis says she not only has 5 properties herself, but she also helped somebody else get their first property as well. Y'all, this does not have to take a lot of time, but it does take execution. It does take execution. So JL, tell us a little bit, because a lot of our listeners, they're 9-to-5ers and they've been hearing about real estate investing. They have this bug, but very similar to what you said, it's a mindset of, where am I get all this money from? I don't have this pot of gold that someone left me, or I, don't have this inheritance. So talk to us about how you were able to break free of that mindset that this was for somebody else and not really for you.
For me, how I was able to break free was I was introduced to, it was a DVD, and I believe it's a book called The Secret over a decade ago. And I remember, because there was so much buzz about it, Tiffany, I remember watching it. I literally missed church that Sunday because I put the DVD in to pass time. And then by the time it finished, I realized, oh my gosh, I sat here and watched the whole entire DVD, missed church service. More than anything, at the end of watching the DVD, I was in the space of, I literally wasted my time watching this DVD because all it did was emphasize principles from the Bible: ask, seek, knock, believe in it, say it, think it, do it. And I was like, that's what the secret is? Like, these people are stealing people's money. Like, what in the world? This was a whole bunch of nonsense. I done missed the word of God today. And the more I kept reflecting on it, I started thinking, wow, it's really that simple. It all of everything that we need, the abundance of life, the heaven that we get to create in this lifetime is really that simple. Is to just, if you have the vision, to then take action and receive it. Go about it as though it already, no, go about it as though it already exists, and then everything will come to you. So when it came down to real estate investing, for me, it was a matter of, I heard the information, the seed was planted. And then once I started doing research, there was copious amount of information that I was coming across that said, it's really that simple. Here is how you do it. Here are the steps. And so I just simply applied the principles from my faith background is Christianity. So the ask, seek, knock principle, the believing it as though it already exists, to the very simple steps that I found free and available on YouTube University. And I said, well, I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to bring along with me, because networking is another key component to have in this business. I'm going to bring along with me other key individuals that are going to make sure that I don't do anything that is against the law or that will put myself in jeopardy or the seller at jeopardy. And so I have a good title company, I have good real estate attorneys, I have good real estate agents that I work with them. I'll say, hey, am I allowed to do that? They're like, yeah, they're still in the green. Go forward. So that's the main thing, is to just, if it sounds simple, because for us in society, I believe that we like to think about things being hard. And so if it sounds too simple, people tend to skip over that. Like, oh, I don't want to do that. That sounds too easy. That sounds too good to be true. So I'm not going to do that. And really, that's the thing that you should be doing.
I love that. I love that. It's a mind blowing to me how we get caught up in this sounds too good to be true. And it's like, but why shouldn't it be good? Mm-hmm. Right? Okay. So now tell us a little bit about this. So 2022 was when you first got started. What was life like for you 2021? What were you doing? Tell us a little bit about that before we get to actually jumping in.
Oh, sure. 2021, I was in a space of disgust because I had stepped away from corporate healthcare without a plan. And because I did not have a plan, I had to quickly step back into corporate healthcare, which was a blessing. I'm really grateful that I have the degrees that I have that allowed me to jump in and out, that to jump back in it. The moment I got back in it, because I had started some of my entrepreneurial steps at that time. However, mama had bills to pay, so I had to go back into it. And the more I was in it, if I'm going to work this hard, I would rather work hard for Her Sisu LLC versus this corporation. If I'm going to have extended work days, I'd rather do that for my business. And the reason why, quite frankly, I was having these extended work days because I was doing the work at work. So I said, you know what? I need to focus. I'm going to keep it real. I need to focus on Her Sisu. And then by that time, I really dived into Her Sisu Properties and Her Sisu Properties. And so for me, I was, if I'm going to work every day unhappy, this is not the lifestyle that I'm meant to have, is to go to work unhappy. And so and I know I keep repeating mindset. It's because it's really, I was going to work not in a space of gratitude. So it started with me saying, I need to be grateful for the job that I have. And so that's the really key point. Before you make any move, anyone that's listening, before you make any move, you have to make it from the space of gratitude and be grateful for the things that you already have. So if you're still at your 9 to 5, be grateful that you are at that 9 to 5 and the benefits of that 9 to 5 that allows you to segue into the business that you aim to do.
I love it. I love it. Always start with gratitude. Okay. So you went back into corporate healthcare but you knew that this was not the end goal. This was just the means of this season because you had already started this LLC. You already had this vision. Tell us about that first property. How did that come about?
Oh my goodness. So the one thing I tell people, because I too had to struggle with balancing what sounded too good to be true with execution. And so even though there was a lot of free information out there, I did invest in a mentorship program. And so I go through this mentorship program. I do the work. I have my first appointment to meet with a lead, and I go there with the contract printed out. I'm rehearsing my script as I'm driving the hour to the property. And I get there, I go through my whole spiel, and it's one of those things. If you've heard the phrase fake it until you make it, that's literally what I was doing. I'm standing in these people's living room and I'm regurgitating all of the information that I've heard on videos, in the program modules that I was listening to. And by the time I finished, the people, they didn't like my initial offer. And so they said, okay, can we negotiate? And I said, sure. So we go through the whole negotiation process. It was still within my range. We settled on a number. They signed the contract right then. The whole time that they're signing the contract, I'm thinking, are y'all serious? Wait, is this contract legit? Did I read over it well? This went way too fast and way too easy. And just driving from their house, I won't forget it because it was a rural town. I'm driving, it's a 2-lane road, and I'm trying to find the safest location on the side of the road that I could pull over and scream. And that's literally what I did. I just pulled over and I was like,
yes.
Oh my gosh, like these people signed, they trust me. And it was from that moment right there that I came up with my tagline. I am a resource. I am experienced as a resource, and I'm connected to resources.
I am a resource. I'm experienced as a resource, and I am connected to resources.
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful.
Right?
Tell us where that came from.
So that has come from my own spiritual journey walk. And where I'm at right now is understanding. I have this perception now when you hear the phrase that God is all knowing and he's all present. And for me, if God is in all of us, that is the way that he's all knowing and all present, is because we are interconnected by the God in all of us. And so this is why it's really important, regardless of what your business industry is to network. That ask, seek, knock principle is so real because it's really most often not what you know, is who you know and people's experience of you, your name at the tip of their, if they're thinking about a project or if they're thinking about a service that you offer, they'll say your name. Oh, I know of this person. I know of Tiffany. She has this and she does this. I know of JL. I know of this person that will open doors for you. And so it's the power of networking and having that interconnected. And so that's where I got the phrase from of I am a resource, and I am a resource because I can be experienced of a resource, because if I don't know it and I don't have it, then I know people that might know it and might have it. And so I'm connected to resources. So one way or the other, it's going to get done.
Period. I love it.
Period.
I love it. Okay. So now tell us, because you mentioned that this sounds like this was not a traditional, I'm going to go through a realtor and I'm going to purchase this house. So what type of deals were you working when you first started?
So the deals that I work then and now is my pathway into real estate investing is as a wholesaler. And so for me, I'm looking at people who are motivated sellers who really are in a space that they truly want to sell their property. And I also say that I want it to be a win-win solution for both of us. I don't want anyone on the other side saying that their experience working with me as a wholesaler is that they felt taken advantage of, not considered, robbed. I really want them to say, wow, I'm so glad that I reached out to JL, that I came across her information and she educated me along the process. And I'm walking away from the closing table with the amount that I really wanted in hand. Even in situations where I've had to, after they signed the contract, had to renegotiate them back down even more, they still were able to do it with a smile because of the rapport that we built along the way.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes wholesalers get a bad rap. And it's just with any industry, there are people who just don't do good business. That does not mean that the business is not good.
Right.
And so I love that you are able, that you approach it from the win-win situation where everyone is coming out feeling good about this transaction, because we know that there are a lot of people who own properties who just need help. They need a solution, and wholesaling is a way to be able to provide them with one.
Right. Absolutely.
So what was that like? How did you find this lead?
And so it's doing the work, running. There's different platforms where you can come across information of people that are interested in whether their home falls in different categories, whether it's pre-foreclosure or maybe they purchased their house at a different time frame. And so I went through that process, following the steps and making my phone calls and sending out my text messages. Now, let me tell y'all, because this is my year of efficiency and productivity. Now, your girl was doing that manually last year, manually going number by number by number, text message by text. Yes, honey. Yes. And so this year is my year of business expansion. And so I have a mentor that I'm working with one-on-one. And so the first thing he said was, you need to get you a CRM system and a blast text message system. And I fought him tooth and nail. And finally, I mastered the system a couple of weeks ago. And when it sent out, girl, 400 text messages in less than 5 minutes, I said, dear God.
You understand. You get it now.
3 weeks to do that. I'm doing it one day.
Yes. And listen. And those CRM systems are no joke. But once you get it, you got it.
Oh, my goodness. I logged in the other day just to see where my batches were. And it already started my drip automation and doing the follow-up text messaging. People had already replied. And I'm like, oh my goodness, dear God. However, I'm still grateful for that time period because I started manually. It allowed me to really understand the nuances of the CRM system and really be able to articulate how I wanted the messages to read and how I wanted them to be delivered. And so it's really important that regardless of whatever your industry or path of real estate investing is that you really understand the foundation principles so that as you're using resources such as a virtual assistant or a transaction coordinator, that you have an idea of what they're saying and you know if what they're saying is accurate and if what they're saying is off the beaten path or not exactly in alignment with where you want to take your transaction versus saying, okay, I'm just in it and I've bought all of these resources, but I really don't understand at, if you will, a cellular level, how it works.
Absolutely. It's so easy to spend a lot of money and not get anything done. And so I love that you mentioned that because when you only have 5-10 leads, you don't need a whole CRM system. You can do that manually, but you understand the process. So then when you're ready to scale, you know what you're scaling.
Correct.
Love it. Okay. So you got the first lead under contract. Were you hooked after that?
After that, once I realized it was that easy and that simple, and the real estate agent that I listed that property with, and he said, if you have any questions, I don't mind answering these questions for you. It's a simple process. He was like, go out there, because that first contract that I did in partnership with the program that I had learned wholesaling with. And so we split those proceeds 50-50. And so he was saying, you can do this independently as your Her Sisu LLC business. And if you have questions, I'll walk you along the way. So I was hooked from there and just constantly in this space of the answer is yes. And so even when I received no's from people, I still heard it as a yes, because that meant I learned a new way to articulate my script to them, what I needed to tweak. I heard it a no as a yes, because that meant I knew how to maybe be a little bit more compassionate in the information that they were sharing with me and what research I needed to do to be able to better respond to different statements or questions that people had. And so it was not allowing any of those no's to hit me as this is going to place you in a space of defeat, depression, failure. I didn't see it as that. So if you talked to me and I had 100 no's that day, you'd have probably thought I had 100 yeses, because I was like, oh yeah, today was a very productive day and I talked to this many people and I received this many responses and the interactions. I saw every single interaction. I made the choice to see every single interaction as a positive engagement. So by the time I moved from my first one to my second contract being signed, it was just, I was on a roll. It was, oh my goodness, this is so simple and so easy.
Oh, well, that's amazing. Now, while you were doing these first two deals, you're still working full time. Is that right?
I am still working full time. Listen, your girl is getting people saying, yes, I want to speak with you. And I'm looking at my work calendar saying, oh, okay. How is today at 4 o'clock? Today at 4 o'clock is amazing. Great. Let me get on Teams and message my boss. Look, I have a personal situation. I have to leave today by 3. I am willing and dealing and leaving one place and getting to that place. And I am also a mother. So having to meet at these different properties and then cut that conversation short, being as efficient in that conversation and transaction so that I can get back to the other side of town to pick up my son and start our whole evening routine. There are times I picked him up from school early based on where I was going to say, look, you got to ride with me to this house. And look, you got your pepper spray. You gonna sit in the car. If you see anything that look fishy, you text me. You call 911. We're out of there because we got to be realistic. Some of these people, even though they say they're interested in selling their property, if based on where they are in the reality of having to let go of their property, it might not be all the way ready. There's some unsavory dynamics at times.
Absolutely. Safety is so very important and critical. And then also it sounds like really managing your time because you have so many different responsibilities. Can you talk to us a little bit about, especially for my 9-to-5er who was like, girl, you want me to do what? I'm already working this full-time job and now you want me to add something extra onto my plate. How do they handle that stretching?
So first thing, I would encourage that person to pour into themselves first, because when you are still working a 9 to 5 and growing your business at the same time, as you mentioned, time management is critical. And the only way that you can pour into all of the areas of your life that you are responsible for and interested in is you have to keep your cup full. And so whatever that looks like for you, having a morning routine, doing some meditative breathing, going to work out. For me, it's my early AM workout. That's my sanctuary, is going to the gym in the morning. So that way you can have a good overview vision of how you want your day to go. And it's really critical. Calendar management, calendar management, calendar management. I have even fallen into the trap myself now that I am self-employed of saying, well, I have the power to control how my day looks like. And listen, Her Sisu and Her Sisu Properties be having me running. And then I'll be at the end of the day like, I don't know what happened. What happened to the day? And those days that I say that are the days that I did not set aside occasions, specific intentional occasions in my calendar to say, this is the chunk of time I'm going to set email. This is the chunk of time I'm going to make phone calls. This is the chunk of time I'm going to do my networking, because it can escape you really quickly. And so you just have to really be intentional about how you're going to segment your time.
That's so good, because I know even me, I found myself where one, if I leave that inbox open, I'm gonna just be responding to emails all day. And it is not a good use of my time whatsoever. And so being really strategic about the dedicated work blocks on my calendar and then sticking to it. If I say I'm going to do this for an hour, I'm going to do this for an hour. That phone is on do not disturb. That inbox is closed. And I have to be the boss of me. And people think, oh, when I am self-employed, I get to work for myself and do whatever I want. You do. And you have to be your own boss and make you do what you need to do.
Correct.
Okay, so at what point did you decide I'm ready to leave corporate again and full time be self-employed? What was that? When was that for you first?
Oh, the day I accepted the offer.
I'm here for it. We're here for a good time, not a long time.
The day I accepted the offer, period. No, seriously, okay. When I got the call for the position that I left, I went into it saying, I'm going to do this for 1 year.
Okay.
I'm in it for 1 year and I am going to work full time. And the reason why, everyone has their own path to how they are full-time self-employed. And so anyone listening to this, please hear it from a space of the path is individual for many different people. And so you can hear this information. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to copy paste the information. You got to find
Mm-hmm.
what works for you. And so for me, it was, I know who I am. I've been JL for 43 years and I know me. The moment I develop a mental crutch, I lean on that mental crutch and then I don't move past it. It becomes my security blanket, if you will. And so I knew if I did not set a time limit on it and hold myself accountable to that time limit, that I would have just been like, I would still be at the job today. Like, oh, I'm fine if I just do one property a year. That's fine because I have this 9 to 5 and I don't want to let go of my insurance. And I don't want to let go of PTO. When you're self-employed, there's no PTO. I don't said 1 year. There's so many people who are self-employed that still go on vacation, that still get their healthcare needs met. And I'm no different. And the second part of that is having an accountability partner. And so I'm really grateful that my significant other is that for me. And so I won't ever forget when I was sharing my goal with him and he looked at me and he said, so when will you stop working full time? And I remember shrinking. I was in his passenger seat. I remember shrinking in the seat like, if I say it out loud, now I really got to hold myself to it because this is just between me, God, and me. Me, God, and me. And so I could have fudged the date a little bit if I wanted to. Like, no, I said 1 year, but I could do 1 year and 1 month or 1 year and 2 months. And so I said, you know what? Nope. I sat back up in the seat and I said, I'm going to be there for a year. By the end of the year, I am done. And then that was that. So I actually finished, I was resigned from that position exactly at 1 year.
That's sticking through to your commitments to yourself. And that is so important in this self-employed, when we're starting our own businesses, is that there is no one there if you don't keep the promise to yourself, but this is what I said I was going to do and I didn't do it. And that is such a testament to the discipline and the persistence and the commitment that we have to make to ourselves in this work.
Correct. It's really key to have that. And the other part is being mindful and situationally aware of what's happening in your day. And from the moment I started at that place of employment, God aligned with me 100% that it was a year. And so every single moment that I would start to get comfortable or things seemed to be really good at work, because I'm not going to deny it was a really easy job. The things that it was a perfect job for me to segue into being full-time self-employed, because I would be assigned projects that I really, based on the level of excellency that I work at, I could have done in a day. That people were coming into my office, my boss would come into my office and be like, I know I asked you to do this spreadsheet and I know it's a really big spreadsheet. It's okay. 3 months is fine if you want to take 3 months to get it back. I was like,
3 months?
Yes, ma'am. And so at first I was bucking against it and saying, oh no, I can have it to you by noon. Like, girl, what? And she was like, no, but there's a lot of information. I was like, Juanyetta, are you not being smart? If this woman is saying, take your time, take your time. So I started playing right into it. Yeah, I got the email and I saw the request and I was like, oh my goodness, you're right. Is it okay? And if I feel like when I get close to the 3 month mark, if I need more time, is that okay if I ask for more time? Oh yeah, just take your time. Bet.
You're meeting those expectations. And these are the expectations that you are going to set forth for me. Who am I to argue?
You don't need that spreadsheet by 12, even though I can do it. I can do the spreadsheet in my sleep. However, if you're going to think that I can't, that's fine. I'll play into it because that gives me time to send my manual text one by one.
Absolutely. Okay, now talk to us, because you mentioned that you had joined this program to learn about it, even though you had already been doing research with YouTube University, which we're here on YouTube. So I'm a huge fan of it. Can you tell us, in hindsight, looking back, would you still have done the program? Hey y'all, Tiffany here. Are you looking to purchase or sell real estate? As you know, I'm your aid to assets, and I want to help you with all of your real estate endeavors. Whether you're local here like me in the Fayetteville, North Carolina area, I can then help you purchase or sell your next property. If you're looking to purchase or sell outside of North Carolina, let me know too. I can still help you. I have a team of agents all over the country that I can connect you with to partner on your next deal. Let's get to the closing table, y'all. We buy our way to wealth, whether that's buying right or selling better. Can't wait to hear from you. Click on the link in the bio if you want more information on how to personally work with me or an agent on my team. Talk to you soon.
In hindsight, looking back, I would follow the advice that I'm giving to everyone now, which is if it sounds simple and you're hearing the simple steps consistently, believe it. And so when people ask me about real estate investing, what I say to them is, I invested in the program so that you don't have to spend that amount of money to do that. And I I direct them to the few YouTube channels that are giving really good, legit, accurate information. And I'll say, follow this channel, what they are saying on that channel, like hands down, follow it. And they share free templates, so on and so forth. This is where you want to go. So that is what I would say to people, is to just follow the simplistic information. And for myself, I wish I would have followed that advice, but I was still in that rut of, I don't know. And people are really saying that you can get into real estate investing with no money, and it can't be real. It is truly that simple.
Yeah, I love it. Tell us, what are some of those favorite channels that you enjoy off YouTube?
Oh, so the one channel I would recommend is Flip with Rick. Is a really good channel. They actually do a 30-day, every year I've noticed on their channel, they do a 30-day, day-by-day step to wholesaling is another good one. Pace Morby has another good site. There's a local investor in the Triad area named Jamel Gibbs. He is another good resource that shares really helpful information. So those will be the top 3 that I would recommend people to listen into and follow.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay. So now you've shifted into full-time entrepreneurship. You've left the role. What was that last day like for you when you were leaving your job?
That last day was so freeing. And coincidentally, Beyonce must have known I was quitting soon, because I sure enough did a reel on Instagram with Break My Soul.
Yes!
And I set my tripod up at work of me walking out the parking deck, throwing out my badge and my keys and walking off to my car. Because I said, listen, so for me, when I talked about being mindfully aware and situationally aware, every single time that I would get comfortable at work, God would move to show me discomfort at work so that I knew where I needed to be. So the moment that I would be in a space of, I can coast this and do my real estate investing at the same time. This job is really easy. Something else would happen. Something else would happen. And coincidentally, again, being very spiritually aware is, for me, it was simply getting to work. I was on literally my 4th ticket parking at work, in employee parking. By the time I got to my 3rd ticket, I would not forget it. I said to my director, I said, okay, listen, the campus is literally rejecting me because I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be here. She thought I was playing. Just like you laughed. She was like, oh my God, JL, oh my goodness.
Because she had no idea what you were already doing.
Seriously, I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. I said, so the next ticket, I'm done. And she was like, oh, stop. And I said, no, I'm serious. I'm done. About 2 months later, I walked to my car. It was a glorious day. I'm literally walking across the street towards the parking deck, singing. I'm like, oh, the weather is beautiful. The sky is bright. The sun is shining. This is an amazing day. God, thank you, thank you, thank you. Walking to my car, there's a ticket blowing in the wind, and I immediately get upset. The guy who gave me the ticket was not too far away. He shares with me it was because we were required to have a front license plate to back into the car, and it was because my front license plate was not affixed to the car a certain way. It had to be affixed a certain way. And I said, who came up with that rule? Like, who came up with that? And so he's getting defensive, and I look at him and I said, you know what, sir, my apologies. I'm questioning you, and you are simply doing your job. I said, in your job, I said, you don't realize it, but your job is from a spiritual nature. It's my time to go. And I literally got in my car, typed in my resignation notice, went on about my business that day. I get to work the next day. My boss stops in my office and she goes, can I see you for a minute? And I said, sure. And so she sits down with me. She said, I don't know if you sent that email yesterday by accident. She said, because I saw you all day yesterday and we had good interactions. We even had lunch together. Did you not feel comfortable telling me that you were going to? He's like, I just got the email out of the blue. And I said, no, I had no idea that I was resigning yesterday. I said, I had no idea. I said, I knew I would be resigning soon. I did not know it would be yesterday. And I said, remember that conversation we had about 2 months ago where I said, one more ticket, I'm done because I'm not supposed to be here. And I let her know, I said, I got a ticket. And she goes, why? And I told her why. She was like, that is absolutely ridiculous. I said, it's absolutely true. It happened.
That is the epitome of standing on business. Like, I said what I said and I meant it. Oh my goodness. Okay. One, I can't believe you sent it right there in the parking lot. I thought you just wrote it, but I didn't think you actually sent it. So you, wow. Talk about extreme execution. This is what I said. This is it. I'm going to do it. But now tell me about that first day when you've left that job and you are full time. It's just you and you. What was that first day like?
That first day was scary as hell. I don't know if I can curse on this podcast, but I just did. It was scary. Waking up and I just remember looking around thinking, now what do I do next? I don't know what I should be doing. And I had to talk myself through every single step of that day of, well, remember when you were at work at your desk, you would be going through your leads and sending the text messages out and making the phone calls. And now because I had so much time and I didn't have to sneak and do it, if you will, because I had a quota for myself every day, I was done within 2 hours. And so I was thinking to myself, okay, well, now what do I do next? And then I won't deny, because I'm human, some fear set in of, okay, I need to do X amount of properties in this amount of time frame to make sure that there's income coming in. And so now I'm frazzled and I'm freaking out. And that is where I had to, what I coach other people on, I had to coach myself through. So I tell people all of the time, I'm not one of those coaches where I am preaching from a pulpit as if I'm better than you and I have life all the way 100% figured out. I have moments where I got to sit down and do my own material on myself and talk to myself. And so from there, I said, just like you would in a 9 to 5 position, organize your day, organize your calendar, have goals for your day, have a list of, these are the top 3 things that have to happen in my day. And these are some things that can be flexible that I can shift into the next day. And so just doing my workflow just like that, every single, like clockwork, consistently, regardless of how much I wanted to sleep in, now that I had time to sleep in, regardless of how much time that I wanted to watch a movie. I've now moved to a point, because I'm so passionate about enjoying the legacy as I created, because I'm like, for me to die off and then people get to enjoy it, now I want to enjoy it too. I got to a point where someone was asking me about a Netflix show I recommended to them, and they said, "Oh, did you finish that series?" And I said, "I honestly have not turned on my TV pretty much since I've been self-employed. My TV time is either because my son and I are watching something together, and he's literally the one that's initiating that and saying, 'Hey, mom, can we watch this show?' Or my significant other is wanting to go to the movie, then we're going to a movie theater to watch a movie. Other than that, because I spend so much time in the creative for my businesses, when I do have downtime, I really like to sit in silence and just enjoy the space, the peace and quietness."
Wow. So it's so good because there's so much to unpack, because I love the fact that you said, even with, you had already done deals, you had already knew this is what God was calling you to do, there was still fear. And I think sometimes we often think that, oh, if we're feeling this anxiety, we're feeling this fear, we're not supposed to keep going. We're not supposed to do it. And that is so not true. How did you keep yourself in the flow of your work in spite of what your feelings were trying to tell you?
What helped me is I believe that the song is called "Moment for Life," Nicki Minaj with Drake. And there's a part when Drake raps where he says, because everybody dies, but not everyone lives. And I remember first hearing that line and thinking that sounds weird because in order to die you have to live. And once I started my business, or once I started my journey as a woman in business, I realized that everything that I was doing before, that I was not living. I was simply fulfilling what family's expectations were of my life, what society's expectations were for my life, and not my own. And all of the sensations and feelings that I had inside, whether it was fear, anxiety, trepidation, hesitation, excitement, etc., was my own soul saying, I want to experience this on this journey, and please allow me to have these experiences. And so it was up to me to be able to live life on my terms. And so now, because this is another saying I've heard people say when they said, if I go today, I'll be fine. And when I've heard that one too, I'm like, you want to die today? Like, who does that? And so I'm at that place now because I am truly creating the life that I desire day by day. And so for me, because I am living an authentic life on my terms, I am satisfied. And because I'm grateful for every single moment, even the times that I am scared, I'm in this space where I'm like, wow, I get it now when he says, because everybody dies, but not everybody lives. Because there are so many people that are living in fear, living in the what if, living in the I don't know, living in the, well, I got to do one more thing. And I'm sure you've heard all of the things. Well, I can't do that right now because I got to do X, Y, and Z. And it's really interesting because when we just think about our everyday normal lives, we don't put other things on hold just to do something else. We don't say, well, I can't relieve my bladder because I didn't brush my teeth yet.
Yep.
Like those can't coexist in the same day. You can still floss and brush your teeth and use the bathroom and take your next breath. And all of these things still happen. And so why not? And if you go into it with the expectation that you're going to fail, then you're likely going to fail.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I've heard things. I've said the things because it's so easy there's this conditioning, this programming. This is what you're supposed to do. Says who? And to live is to know that this life is yours and yours alone. And so you have to make it just as unique as you are.
Right. Absolutely.
I love it. Okay. So tell us now, because you also mentioned that you're a coach. Tell us a little bit about the coaching that you do. Who do you work with? What is it for? All of that good stuff.
Absolutely. So I work with individuals, both women and men. 18 and up is the preferred range. I work with men and women on achieving the life that they desire as they are on their path to freedom and wholeness. And so a lot of my work deals with mindset, having a positive mindset as you encounter life transitions, and whatever that life transition is, whether it's from going from having a family to being an empty nester, whether it's from going from working to 9 to 5 to having your own business in a traumatic situation, to how do I live a life that is freeing for me and healthier for me and where I can manage my triggers, whether it is to how do I deal with situations with everyday people, my family, loved ones, work professionals, people in my business network. And it all starts with mindset. So I coach people on how to set boundaries, how to manage their triggers, how to think positively, gratitude exercises, the list goes on.
Wow, I love it. And so y'all, all the information about JL's coaching will be in the description of this episode. So be sure if you are looking for a coach to help you navigate transitions, this is a great resource for you to tap into. So before we wrap up, 2 final questions that I love to ask people on the show. The first one is, if you had to go back and give yourself in 2021 some advice about life today, what would that advice be?
Ooh, okay. So if I had to give myself feedback about or advice about life today, I would say is if it's in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, regardless if anyone co-signs it or not, as long as you co-sign it, then move forward with confidence. Because if you have that vision, if you have that goal, the vision is for you. It is not for anyone else to buy into your vision. And so if you are not buying into your vision or are confident about your vision, then other people are not going to be confident about it as well. And here's the thing, most often when people are giving you the what ifs and all of the negative feedback about your vision, because we have all heard it. You start out with, even with the things that are more traditional in society, whether it's going to school. I don't know what you're going to school for because they don't be hiring people anymore. I don't know what you're doing this for, what you buying a house for because you know the interest rates are too high. I don't know. Why are you doing real estate investing? Ain't nobody buying houses. Why are you doing this? They're not speaking from a space that they really want you to fail. They're speaking from a space of their own fear of things that they didn't move forward on because they didn't want to do it or they were too scared to do it. And so you got to block all of that out and just continue to move forward confidently, because guess what? Those same people are going to come back around once your business start blooming. Ooh, girl, I see that little business blooming. You know, they like to throw that little business, that little podcast Tiffany got.
Yeah, listen. And now I want to know, how'd you do that? How'd you do that?
So I was thinking about doing a podcast. I felt like I could talk about, I'll be out there cutting grass. I feel like I could do my podcast.
Oh, that is so good. Silencing the noise, though, because it's a lot, especially in this world of social media. And there's just so many things vying for our attention. I love even what you said earlier, that sometimes you just like to sit in the silence with yourself when you have some free time, because we don't get that very often. Love it. Okay. And so then the last question is, when we watch this video again, a year, 3 years from now, what is going to be true for you and your business?
Oh, absolutely. So Her Sisu LLC, which is the mindset transition arm of my business, will be at organizations worldwide, because the girl is already international in these streets. So it will continue to grow across the globe. Her Sisu Properties is churning these properties here and there throughout many, many seasons to come. And I have a whole team working under Her Sisu Properties. And hot off the press coming later this year is I will have my first extension as a sober living house owner. So there will be Sisu Living House. Yes, you heard it first on Tiffany.
Wow.
Podcast. But we will have sober living homes throughout the state of North Carolina and the Southeast. And so stay tuned, people.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's absolutely amazing.
I will be doing the next interview from a yacht. It won't be my yacht though, but I'll be on somebody else's yacht because I ain't trying to manage a yacht.
Period. I love it. We're already claiming it. That's it. You're going to have to come back and run it back and let us know about the scaling process, because now we got to hear from your journey of how you got started and where you are. And so we just cannot wait to see how you continue to blossom in your business. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now tell the people how they can get in touch with you, the socials, where they can follow you to learn more about your journey and see your progress.
Oh, sure thing. Let me pull up my merch now, okay?
Come on,
my
merch.
Her Sisu merch.
Yeah, I need to get me some. I'm A to Assets merch is coming. JL she convicted me.
I am on Instagram, Her Sisu, at HER_SISU. And you can also find me at Her Sisu Properties. But if you just follow me Instagram at Her Sisu, it will link you to all of my other information. My link tree is there where you can schedule a consultation with me. And I look forward to connecting with all of you wherever you are in the world, because I work in person and virtually. And if anything, I would like to just leave the people with information to we are created. There's only one you. There is not another person out there that's like you. So be the best version of yourself that you can be. Don't try to be anyone else. Don't try to look like anyone else, because that person already exists. And what the world is hungry for is more of you. So walk in your purpose and do it with confidence. So that way, when you take your last breath, you can take it with ease, because you know that you have given completely of yourself at 100%.
Wow. I couldn't wrap it up any better, y'all. So JL, again, thank you so much for your wisdom and your experience. Best of luck to you and your business. You all, this has been another amazing episode of the Aid to Assets podcast. I can't wait to see you at the closing table. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to another insightful episode of Aid to Assets. Remember, your journey from 9-to-5er to successful real estate investor is within reach. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep investing in your future. If you'd like to know more, connect with me on Instagram at Aid to Assets. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Until next time, happy investing.